How's everybody doing today? So just gonna wait for a few people to jump on live. My name is Sean Casey, Global Educator with ANDIS. Just gonna wait for a few more people to jump on live, and then we're gonna start. We're gonna go over some awesome techniques on how to use your ANDIS tools. We're also gonna teach you how to maintenance your tools as well, and which tool to properly use while doing your haircuts. I'm just going to comb back the hair. I like combing the hair back in place in the direction that I want to cut. So I want to see how the hair falls before I start cutting. All right, how's everybody doing today? Then wait another minute. Just waiting for everybody to come on. I'm going to be demonstrating how to work with ANDIS tools here at Paul's Beauty Warehouse online. My name is Sean Casey, Global Educator with ANDIS. Today we're going to be working with our ANDIS tools. The tools that I'm going to be working with today is our Cordless Master Gold Edition and our brand new GTX XO trimmer by ANDIS. Amazing new trimmer, got a nice gold blade on it. This is perfect for lining. It's coming sharp out the box. This is probably our sharpest trimmer coming straight out the box. So if you're looking for those precise sharp lines, sharp beards, mustache designs, this is the tool. It's a rotary motor. You can see that it's got this nice blue light. When it starts, you get 111 minutes of running time. Takes about an hour of charge time. When you see this red light gets on the trimmer, it's about 15 minutes left to show you that that you have a little bit of you have 15 minutes left before it cuts off. There's no dying out of power. Since it's a lithium ion, it's going to run the full time, and when it's time to cut off, it's going to cut off. So you're going to get that strong balanced power throughout your whole work, throughout your whole cut. You can also use this for refinement and trim clipper over comb as well. Since it's a rotary motor, be able to cut through wet or dry hair. So today what I'm going to be working on is just doing a classic men's haircut, right? We're going to work using attachment guards, using my adjustable clipper, my master cordless, using my attachment combs, and working from top to bottom while transitioning from a longer length to shorter length in this fade or this blend. So I probably will take it to the lowest transition to maybe about a half or a number one. So before we start, disinfecting your tools and proper maintenance is most important. Before I start, I want to take one of our brushes, right? We have a little ANDIS brush. It's our cleaning brush. And I'm going to make sure that I'm cleaning all the hairs that are in between the cutting blades. So by me opening up the lever, I'm going to remove this hair. Once all the hair is done, I'm going to turn on the clipper, and I'm going to spray on both sides. You can hear the motor changing, right? This is a 5-in-1. So what it's going to do is going to disinfect, it's going to lubricate, it's going to cool down, it's a rust preventative, and also, what you don't know, it is proven to kill COVID-19. That if it's resting on your tool at all. So it does everything that you need, from transferring any bacteria from one client's head to the next. So it's always important to disinfect your tools. And you can hear the motor moving just a little bit better. That's the lubricant getting in between those blades, right? You're going to hear while you're cutting, the blades are going to stiffen up. What this is going to do, add a little bit of that oil in between the blades. You're going to hear the motor run a little bit better. And this is how your tool is going to run top notch. You buy a tool like this, you want this tool to last you for 10 years, right? You want to do thousands upon thousands of haircuts on it. And if you don't maintenance your tools, they're not going to last as long. When I spray my clipper, I do it before and after every single haircut, as well as in between. So if the body of your clipper feels like it's getting warm, or you feel like the blade is getting a little warm, this also cools down the body. So while the clipper is on, I'm going to spray the body, and I'm going to spray the blade to cool it down and continue to work. I'm going to do this with every tool. So again, I'm going to use my GTX XO. Again, I'm going to turn it on, and I'm going to spray the blade. I always keep a towel. With a towel, I'm going to wipe the blade off, and our copper pro foil shaver as well. So I use this to clean up whether I'm balding out the neck, whether I'm working maybe on top of the beard. What's great about this tool is I can bring it right down to the hair, and it's not going to remove the hair. It's going to remove the stubble to give you that clean shave. So I'm going to remove this, as well as if I'm doing bald fades, I can use this on the hair as well, right below, if I'm trying to remove the stubble to get a really nice, smooth bald fade. Same thing, what I'm going to do with this tool is I'm going to pop open the blade. I'm going to take my cleaning brush, and I'm going to clean all the excess hair that I used prior to cutting, right? Once I remove the hair, I'm going to pop the head back on. Just like that. You can see these push down. While it's on, I'm going to spray on top, and now my tools are disinfected. So now that my tools are ready to go, we're clean and we're ready to start our haircut, we're going to start working with our model, all right? We're going to make it super easy. What we're going to do is, I like combing the hair. I like wetting the hair. I like seeing the direction, the way the hair grows, right? So, working with a men's style haircut, whether it's a longer length, medium length, or taking it down to short, I want to create my sections. The first things that I'm looking for is the widest part of the head, right? The parietal ridge, the highest point of the head, the apex, and where the occipital bones rest at in the back. Does it stick out? Is it very flat? Does it cut and cave in? Is it ideal? These are all important factors of me on what style and how I want to cut my hair, right? Everything, when I'm working with any type of blend, I'm going to find the widest point of the head. With my comb, I can spin it around and push towards the bottom. You can see that it concaves in towards the temple, right? So everything from that parietal ridge working down is my blending point. This is where I can take anything from, say, if I cut a number 2 at the parietal ridge, I can take it down to a 1.5, 1, to maybe all the way down to skin. Skin being maybe the most difficult cut to do because you see every line. So knowing that I don't go above the parietal ridge is my protection area when doing any type of fade. Now everything above the parietal ridge, as you can see, if this was a number 2, it could be a 2.5 to a 3, meaning if I over direct the hair over to the comb, you will see this square shape. This is where I'm creating graduation because the head is naturally round and we're starting to build something that's square on the sides. So it's important with my hand motions is that I'm working in an up and down motion and not cutting into the round shape of the head where I'm going to lose the shape of this haircut. All right? So now it's the same thing when I'm working in the back. Working with the crown, one of the things I want to be careful for is cutting too much into the crown, because if I cut too much into the crown, what happens is the hair sticks up and spikes up. You see it all the time. It used to happen to me a lot. It's one of those things I want to prevent. So what I do is I look for the occipital bone. I place the comb in the same area at the highest point. I don't want to cut into the rounds, into the crown, into the round shape of the head, because if I cut it too short, it's going to stick up. When I press it down, here is where it concaves into the back of the nape, right? So if I'm cutting with my clippers at this point, whether I'm starting from longer to shorter, all the way down to bald if I wanted to a natural taper line. This is the direction of my hand motion when I'm cutting. So I'm allowing the hair to stay a little bit longer. If I'm cutting the hair in the direction, you can see a straight line, and I cut right here with my hand position, right? When I release, this hair is going to drop right where the occipital bone, and it's going to prevent me from taking it too high. So now that we got a good idea about the head shape and how to begin and where to start, I'm going to section off this head where I want to cut. So I'm going to section off to the panels that I want to cut. All right. So I'm going to start where the recession area is. I'm going to take from the recession area and follow a straight line back. And this is my first panel on the right hand side. I'm going to use some water to lay the hair down. All right. And the same thing, I'm just going to make a horseshoe shape right over the head. Here's my second line. And now we're going to start our haircut. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my adjustable clipper, my cordless master, and I'm going to start with my number 4 attachment comb. Now when cutting, you're going to see this lever on the side, right? So when this lever is towards the front of the clipper, and how I can demonstrate this is when I'm cutting, I like to hold my clipper like a remote control. When this lever is close to my thumb, means I'm cutting closer to the head. When I push this lever away, I'm cutting further away from the head. So if I'm working in 2 sections, and say everything from the parotid ridge down is a number 1, and everything above the parotid ridge I cut with a number 2 attachment comb, you would see this line of demarcation. For me to remove this line of demarcation, I would attach my number 1 attachment guard on my clipper, and I'm going to open up the guard into its open position, and now it's resting at a 1.5, and I work in between those 2 sections to remove that line of demarcation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show a way to work my way down, starting from longer to shorter. I'm going to put on my number 4 attachment guard. I'm going to close my lever, so it's not at a 4.5, it's at a 4. I'm going to turn it on. I'm going to disinfect my guard. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at the bottom. This bottom of the neckline, the bottom of the sideburn line, and I'm just going to cut upwards. I'm going to work and float up. What I'm not doing is cutting into the round shape of the head. I want to maintain a square shape. So by doing this, I'm using my comb as a brace, right? I'm working upwards. It's preventing me from cutting into the head. I'm allowing the round shape of the head to create graduation. So, removing my comb, I'm starting at the bottom, I'm cutting. As I get past the parotid ridge, I'm floating upwards in a straight line, and this is allowing the hair to start a square shape. So I'm working from the bottom, and I'm floating to the top. All right. So you can see that's that square shape on the side. Now working with the back. Here's where that occipital bone is, right? When I push it towards the bottom, towards the nape, this is the direction I want my clipper to cut. So I'm going to start at the bottom of the neckline, and I'm going to float up. And as the hair is lifting, I'm helping feed the extra hair with my comb. I'm not placing the comb on the head and cutting over it, because what I would be doing is creating another attachment guard. So what I'm doing is I'm floating up as the hair is lifting. I'm helping feed the hair with my comb. All right. Notice the shape. As you see, I've removed all this excess hair. I'm starting at the bottom of the neckline and I'm floating up. As the hair is lifting, it's cutting at 90 degrees. As it's lifting at 45 degrees, I'm feeding the hair through the clipper. What's nice about these cordless masters is that they're a rotary motor, which means they can cut through fine or coarse hair, wet or dry hair. Also, the weight of these clippers are great, and they rarely get warm, which is good. For how quick the motor is moving at 8,500 strokes per minute. This is with how fast the motor is moving is preventing it from cutting from the blade to getting hot. So see, I'm following that shape. Now you can see how I protected myself from cutting too much into the crown and having this stick up, right? So again, pushing comb down to the nape and following this shape right here. Now we're going to follow this to the other side. So you can see now we got a nice square shape on the sides, nice rounded in the back. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just section my horseshoe shape to the opposite side where the recession is, and I'm going to cut my left panel of the head now. All right. So, and guys, if you have any questions, please, I'm going to work through this haircut. If you have any questions, I will take a second to look at the page and read. So now we're going to work on this panel of the head. Again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at the bottom of the nape line, or the sideburn. So if I was to use this comb, again, if I work from the bottom up, as the head rounds inwards, at the parietal ridge working up, there's my graduation. The hair gets longer as the head rounds inwards. So the motion that I'm doing is up. I'm floating up, I'm not floating in. Again, I'm cutting. As the hair is lifting and cutting at 90 degrees, as it's going above 45 degrees, I'm using my comb to help feed the hair into the cutting blade. Again, don't use the comb and cut over it, because what you're doing is you're setting another guard. So you're going to set a line of demarcation. Just flow through. Just allow your clipper to flow through the shape of the head. All right, I'm going up, I'm creating my square shape. Now let's see from the front. All right, so now we have a nice square shape on both sides. So what I'm going to do is I started with my 4, and I'm going to just gradually work my way a little shorter and shorter each time. So since I've worked with my 4, created my square shape, everything above the parietal ridge, what I'm going to do is do the same motion, but just not go as high. So with my 3 now, I'm going to start low, and I'm going to float up. Once I start getting to the area above the parietal ridge, instead of floating all the way up, I'm floating out just a little bit. I'm not going as high, but I'm gradually working a little bit lower on the shape of the head, so I can start slowly breaking down the length of hair closer towards the scalp to give a nice blend, or a nice transition between this lengths of haircuts, right? So I'm following behind on the nape again. I'm floating behind the hair. I'm just not going as high as I did before. Staying a little bit lower, working around the head. You see that nice round shape back here. And then we're going to follow it on the opposite side. Staying a little bit low. Again, starting at the bottom. and just not floating as high as I did with my previous attachment guard. So right now I'm using a number 3. Here I'm going about an inch over the parietal ridge before I start floating out. Before, with the 4, I would go past the parietal ridge and float towards the ceiling. This one I'm going about an inch below the round area of the top of the head and an inch above the parietal ridge, and I'm floating out, so I'm not leaving any lines of demarcation in between the two. They're both blending with each other nicely. So now, let's take it down a little bit lower. I'm going to take my number 2. And here, I'm going to take it to right about the parietal ridge. So right at this temple point with my number 2. You hear the sound? Right when I get to the parietal ridge, I'm floating out. I'm working in with the teeth first, I'm moving up, and I'm floating out. I work around the ear, I work to the side, right there where the mastoid process is, behind the ear. Now I'm going to work where the nape is. I'm taking it up right to where the occipital bone is, not floating as high as I did before, just staying right underneath the previous section that I cut. You can hear the sound of the hair cutting away. Everything's falling. You're not seeing any lines of demarcation down here as I'm working. What I'm doing is gradually working from longer to shorter, and this helps when working with a classic gentleman's haircut and you don't want to see too many lines and chase after it. This is a great way of just working the hair down, forming the shape of the head without creating any lines, and really speeding up your haircuts overall. The less lines you create, the faster your work will be. So here we are, we're working on the opposite side with our number 2. Work around the ear. All right, and if you just want to take it a little bit lower and take it a little bit shorter, we could go with our number 1. And what we're going to do is just taper the temple point and the bottom of the nape. So again, the same motion what I'm doing, I have my number 1 on. Notice I went 4, 3, 2, 1. As I worked, little by little, I worked my way down, starting from the bottom and floating up. Now I'm not even going to the parietal ridge. I'm just working where the contour shape is, right? I'm floating there, and then I'm floating up and connecting it connecting it seamlessly to the area where I started, or where I floated with my number 2 attachment guard at. So here's my number 1. My number 1's cutting, and now I'm floating out. I remember where I left off with my number 2. My number 2 went about an inch and a half higher. I'm saying about an inch and a half lower from that previous area that I cut, from the previous section I cut, and everything's falling into place. And this is how you can gradually create a nice tapered neckline. So again, I'm starting right where the neckline is, I'm floating with the teeth, and I'm rotating back. I'm skimming through the hair, and here I am effortlessly making a nice little transition, a nice little blend to this haircut. If I see a little bit of a line, this is where I use my lever to open it up into its position. And what I do is I just float over that line of demarcation. Remember, when I open up the lever, it's a half size bigger. So if I work with a number 2 here, and I work with a 1 here, and I start to see a line of demarcation, I open up my lever, I work in between those 2 lines, and there you have it. Everything disappears, everything blends away nicely. So we're just going to finish up on the left side of the head, working right there on the temple, right to where I'm getting to the parietal ridge, and I'm floating up, right? So here's that widest point of the head. Again, everything at this point concaves. Everything here it contours into the temple or into the nape. Here I am floating right into that area. If I see a line of demarcation, open up my lever. And just like that, I've created my shape. So now you can see the longer hair on top. Let's check this out. We have our square shape on the sides, and we have this nice round shape in the back. Now I have a little bit of bulk that I would like to smooth out on both sides. This is where I have an opportunity to use clipper over comb, right? So anything that's sticking out, we have two combs, dark and light. I'm going to use the light comb because I'm able to see the dark hair through the light comb. Again, I'm going to use my cordless master. What's great about the master is it is a rotary motor, which allows me to cut through wet hair, dry hair, coarse hair, fine hair. The spine of the comb, I'm going to place at the parotid ridge. Everything that's sticking out, I don't want to cut too much. Whatever's sticking over the hair, what I can see through the comb, I'm using the spine to pivot, lifting the hair that's towards the round shape of the head, right above into the crest area. And now I start following the round shape of the head. So here I'm able to refine the hair. Any loose hairs, I'm able to really create a nice smooth transition, a nice square shape. I can do this in the back as well. Some of these loose hairs that were hanging over, because we floated out with our clipper, I'm going to angle the fade comb to the round shape of the head. I'm going to pivot. Notice that I'm following the round shape of the head. So this spine is where the parotid ridge is, floating to where the occipital bone is. So I'm working at this angle, this flat angle. I'm lifting up the hair. Whatever hair is that I see that's coming through the comb, I'm just removing it so everything falls in, everything will blend into place. So let's continue on the opposite side. Like I'm looking for this weight line right here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lift up this weight line, lift up the hair 45 degrees. When you lift hair at 90 degrees, you build weight. When you lift up above 90 degrees, you're removing weight. So what I'm doing is I'm lifting the hair a little bit above 45 degrees and creating a softer line right here. So I'm removing that heavy weight line of demarcation that I use with my clipper. So lifting it above 45 degrees, dropping it down, everything falls into place nicely, right? Again, if I want to create my square shape on the sides, the spine is going to rest even right here where the parotid ridge is, and then I can rotate the clipper. So all I see is the top hair sticking through the comb. And I'm able to smooth this hair out and create that square shape. And if I want to soften up this line that's going into the round shape of the head, I'm going to lift the hair up above 45 degrees. Clipper over comb, release the hair. I'm still maintaining that square shape, but what I did was soften up the point of that square. So I broke that point down. So now everything's a little bit more smooth, nice, round. And now we'll start working with the top. With the top, we're just going to connect everything together, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a middle part, like a mohawk section, right down the middle. Okay. Work right down the middle. Here's my mohawk section. This is where I want to find out how short I want to cut the hair, right? Here's my mohawk section here. I'm going to take a little area from the crown. This is going to be my guideline on how low I want to cut the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold my comb in one hand, and I'm going to hold my clipper upside down. I'm going to lift up the hair. I'm going to elevate it and I'm gonna cut it square. So when the short hairs drop down, then I know how high I need to elevate this hair, and this is how long I want to cut. This is how long I want to keep the hair. I'm gonna work from the back of the crown towards the fringe. And as the head rounds towards the fringe, I'm lifting all the hair up at 90 degrees. As the head's rounding towards the forehead, I'm lifting the hair straight up at 90 degrees. Instead of cutting it round, I'm creating a little bit of an over direction at 45 degrees. What this is going to do is going to allow more volume towards the fringe. All right, so now that I got my guideline from my center part, I'm going to work at front of the head. I'm going to elevate the hair. You can see where it's short from the middle mohawk part. And I'm going to cut backwards with my clippers. And I'm going to work my way back from the fringe all the way back to the crown. So right here I'm resting at the apex. I'm at that highest point of the head. And as I lift up a little bit from the crown, that was my starting point, and everything should fall even. So I've done my middle section. Now let's work the right section. There's my short area of the head. The hair that's short on the other side just naturally falls. I'm cutting it square. Notice my fingers are resting flat. And I'm using the center portion of the head as my guideline. And I'm gradually cutting the hair from the front of the head towards the back. All right. Now I'm going to lift the area from the left portion of the head. So I've done my center, I've done my right, now I'm going to do my left. Here we go. Take each section, elevating the hair 90 degrees. Look how this master cuts right through this hair, right? The hair is wet, it's mannequin head. And just nice and easy. Saves yourself from buying a lot of band-aids as well. The clipper is not going to cut your fingers, which is nice. All right, so now let's connect the top. We've made everything. I'm going to cross-check and I'm going to take a diagonal section. I'm going to elevate the hair. Everything should be cut at a straight line. Perfect. I'm starting to build up my shape. So now I'm going to connect the sides. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move the fringe out the way. I'm going to over direct all this hair over to my left side towards me. Starting above the ear, my hands flat on the area that I cut previously to create that square shape. And I'm going to connect the sides. I'm going to work from the side panel to the back. If I want to keep the length, that's fine. I can keep this connection. If I want it to all connect, what I can do is I can bring the hair that I removed from the fringe and over direct it a little bit back towards behind, from on top of the ear. I can see the area at the beginning of my fingers where I previously cut short, and I'm just going to cut alongside my fingers. Now I'm going to do the same thing on the opposite side. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the hair that's resting on the fringe. I don't want to cut that too short. I'm going to over direct all the hair to the opposite side. All right, so I'm looking at all this hang right here. Protecting myself from cutting the fringe too short. I'm going to start above the ear, right? Turn my clipper on. And here I am connecting the hair to the sides, connecting the top to the sides. All right. Again, if I want to cut a little bit of this fringe off, what I'm going to do is over direct the fringe back to the on top of the ear, and I'm going to cut. So now you can see the nice shape that we created with this haircut. I'm going to add a little bit of water, style this hair for you. Look at this, all with clippers, right? All right, so now we've created our shape, we've done our cut. We maintained a nice shape to the head. I didn't cut too much into the crown, right? We kept it masculine by keeping it square. We cut the top. We have the style if I want to do it over, if I want to wear it backwards, if I want to wear it to the opposite side. We have some versatility to do this, right? So now we have a nice shape on top of the hair. Now if you wanted to texturize it, here, let me show you a quick tip on how to texturize. I like to do it dry, but I'm going to blow dry it at the moment. I'm just going to take a section of hair, right? I'm going to elevate it at 90 degrees. And I'm going to point cut into the section of hair. I'm taking a square section, elevating it 90 degrees, and I'm working from the back towards the front. I do recommend doing it dry so you can see the texture, but what's nice about this, you can actually see our clipper work through wet hair, how easily it's cutting through this the hair while it's wet. And you just point cut right through the hair. No cuts on my fingers. And there you are, able to make a little bit of texture throughout the hair. Now, I want to demonstrate to you our brand new trimmer. It's amazing. I've been cutting for a very long time. And our new GTX XO trimmer. It's probably the sharpest trimmer that I've used to date. I've been cutting for a long time, straight out the box, probably the sharpest tool that we have. When I say sharp, doesn't mean it's gonna cut or irritate the skin, but you're gonna create those sharp, sharp lines. Whether it's detailing hairlines in the front, necklines, beards, whatever. You can also remove hair because it has a rotary mover, so you can shave with it as well. So it's lightweight, with it being cut out and able to see through it, it's easier for you to clean the hair that's resting around the tool. And when I'm cutting, I'm able to look through this area so I can see the lines that I want to cut. So let's detail the neckline. I'm going to hold my tool here. What I do is, with my finger, I like to place it onto the skin, and then I bring the trimmer. This removes the vibration, right? I create a little bit more. I remove the vibration by using my finger, placing it on the head somewhere. Now I have more control, and I bring it in, and I start creating that shape. When I'm working around the ear, it's nice we have this T-edge, and with my T-edge, I work from the back of the ear, and then from the front of the ear, I work towards the top. If I wanted to define the temple lines, you're able to see those lines. Whether I'm working with the beard, I can hold it like a pencil and I can create those lines to create a sharp beard as well. I'll show you on the opposite side as well. I like working from around the ear. I like working from the front side to the top using the tip of my T-point, and then from the back to the top as well to create that nice clean shape. Work my way down into a square shape, and then when I'm working the nape in the back, I want to prevent myself from cutting it too short. So I look at where the longest area is at the center, and again, I'm rotating in. I'm pressing my trigger finger on the skin, and I'm bringing it close. So I'm cutting it at 90 degrees. All right, work from center to left, center to right. Connect everything. And there you have it. A nice, clean, gentleman's haircut. Cut square. You can wear it a medium length where he can wear it back. He can wear it to the side if he wanted to. Has a nice shape. Remove some of the volume on top, so I have a little bit more volume in the fringe if I want without lifting too much on the apex. I prevented myself from cutting into the crown. A nice contour shape below the occipital bone to really detail the shape of his head. And then, you know, have fun with it. Blow dry it, style it, add some product to it. Do whatever you want to do with it. Dry it up, do some more texturizing technique with it. And all I used was my adjustable clipper, cordless ANDIS Masters, and my XO, new cordless trimmer, GTX XO. Amazing, 2 tools. I even love the color combination. Looks great on your station, right? These 2 tools did everything for me. I paneled out the hair. I created a horseshoe shape on top of the head. I worked from a 4 attachment guard down to a 3, 2, and to a 1 on the back. When I worked the back section of the head, I did 4, 3, 2, 1, starting at the occipital bone. So I was floating through the hair. Anytime I never cut into the round shape of the head. I cut down on the hair. I cut it. Once I did that, I showed you how to section out the hair, elevate the hair, and create the shape. I want you guys to also check out our new website, ANDIS.com. We rebranded, new logo, looks awesome, new education, new videos, and we got some awesome tools. I want to thank Paul's Beauty Warehouse. Make sure you reach out to them, take advantage, place your orders for these trimmers. These are the hottest trimmers in the game. I'm telling you right now, I get hit up every day on DMs asking about these trimmers. They got our masters as well. Again, whole haircut with just 2 tools. Fun, simple, and easy. I appreciate you guys for sitting with me. My name is Sean Casey. My Instagram is twincuts_CEO. It's spelled Twin Cuts with a Z _CO. I'm based here in Florida. I'm a barbershop owner. I'm a global educator with ANDIS. I got 6 locations here in Fort Myers called Twin Cuts. So please check me out. Send me a message. Talk to me if there's any questions of what I've done. I'd love to I'd love to speak back with you and see your progress as you grow and try some of these techniques. I appreciate you guys for sitting with me. Y'all have a blessed day. Thank you very much. Take care. Check us out, ANDIS.com.